It's Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. Office of Science and Technology Policy Director Michael Kratsios criticized diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in federally funded research, calling them closed-minded in a speech Monday. During remarks before the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, Kratsios called for a reduction of red tape in scientific research and fostering what the Trump administration is labeling gold standard science. Under that standard, there would be a, quote, suspicion of blind consensus, he said, arguing that there is a crisis of confidence in scientists that comes from fears that political biases are impacting research. Kratsios specifically pointed to DEI as antithetical to that mission, echoing a common refrain for the Trump administration, which has sought to rid the federal government of such programs, positions, offices, and research. Kratsios said, quote, DEI initiatives in particular degrade our scientific enterprise. He continued, DEI represents an existential threat to the real diversity of thought that forms the foundation of the scientific community. His remarks at the National Academy of Sciences, a non-governmental membership organization aimed at promoting good scientific principles, comes as the Trump administration's efforts to reshape the federal government have impacted federally funded research. The National Science Foundation, for example, has canceled hundreds of grants that don't align with Trump administration policies, such as those that mention diversity, equity, or inclusion, and outlined plans to get rid of a division that focuses on equity in STEM education. Kratsios said scientists can't, quote, be in the business of scoring points for an ideological agenda, and that those DEI considerations impact the research itself. He said, quote, a closed-minded political fashion preoccupied with symbolic victories divides colleagues and distorts grant application and research design. In other news, the General Services Administration has entered a government-wide buying agreement with Salesforce, the parent company of Slack, to reduce the price of the enterprise version of the workplace productivity and collaboration tool by 90% per user for federal agencies. GSA said in a press release Monday that it renegotiated lower fragmented discounts from individual agency deals for a deal based on total government purchasing volume for Slack Enterprise Grid, resulting in a steep discount for agencies that will expire on November 30th, 2025. The two parties also reached an agreement that will lower the price of Slack AI for enterprise for agencies by almost 70% off per user. Salesforce, which acquired Slack in 2021 for $27.7 billion, is the latest commercial software vendor to reach a government-wide purchasing agreement with GSA this year, resulting in lower costs for agencies. Google and Adobe also entered into agreements with the Trump administration since its inauguration. GSA and Microsoft also arranged a similar deal that came just days before the Trump administration entered office. In the announcement release, GSA touted its, quote, central role in procurement, maximizing cost savings, reducing redundancy, and streamlining IT acquisition with consistent pricing and terms across the federal government, as well as its so-called OneGov strategy for IT procurement that it unveiled last month. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.